Okay, come and have a look at this really curious oddity I've just found at the top of this hill. All over Britain we have an array of prehistoric monuments, from stone circles to round barrows, long barrows, mounds of circular earth, stone avenues, you name it. Okay, well here in Dorset we seem to have another one that I've never heard of before, and one that's causing me a bit of confusion. I can't quite seem to be able to box it or classify it. Nobody seems to be able to tell me exactly what it was or what it was used for. In fact, you've been looking at it this whole shot, not the cows here in the foreground, but the ridge and the line across the top of the ridge there on the horizon. Let's go take a look. OGS Crawford came here in the 1920s and he drew this landscape, annotated all of it and the monuments here on this very hill. In fact, he did this in many places across the UK for the OS maps. We have him to thank, maybe 100 years on, for all the work that he did in highlighting monuments all around the country, which perhaps now appear on the OS maps, including this one. Now, if I was here in the 1800s, perhaps sort of 30-40 years before OGS Crawford got here, well, I'd be looking at something that was then described as a long barrow. But just look at the size of this. I stand up on a very windy top, and goes on for maybe 200 metres in that direction, and maybe another 50 in that direction behind me. This structure is around 200 metres long, maybe 20 metres wide, and here is the important thing. To date, we have no evidence that this actually acted as a long barrow, a chambered burial tomb for the Neolithic people. So here we are in what I would describe very much as a burial landscape. That Dorset Ridgeway in that direction for miles has Bronze Age barrows just lining it. In fact, we've got just a long barrow just over there and another one just down there. But if this here, if this isn't in itself a long barrow, then what exactly is it on this landscape? I think the answer might not be too far away. By the time OGS Crawford published his paper on this landscape in 1938, that he finally used the term bank barrow. Now, he drew some others in the landscape too. He drew one just the other side of Dorchester. He drew one within Maiden Castle that's been found, the Iron Age hill fort. As far as I'm aware though, he didn't draw one here at Blackdown Hills. So we're about a mile or so southeast of where we started, on the horizon just over there. And well, we have another 2 bank barrows here on the current OS maps. They aren't as long, but similar to our long Breedy bank barrow, they don't appear to be chambered style or oval fishtail long barrows. We have what I assume was a Bronze Age barrow just here. And then off in this direction here we have a bank, a linear bank with ditches either side, and it goes on for quite some distance. I would say maybe 100 metres or so. I'm stood on now. Nowhere near as prominent as that one, but that could just mean it's been sort of trampled, ploughed out to a degree over the years. But interestingly, we do have the same alignment, but there is one more, and I think now I'm here I can actually see it on the horizon. Yeah, that one is quite pronounced too. We've got a straight line of a bank. We've got parallel ditches either side, fairly deep, relatively. Again, not as big as Long Breedy, but this is the second biggest I've seen today. Now, when OGS Crawford came here, he gave us one more hint we need to consider. But first of all, got a bit of a plan.
Paul, mate, how are you doing?
Adam, brilliant. Right, can we talk bank barrows?
Yeah, okay. I mean, I live right next to one.
Amazing. Can you tell me what it looks like? Maybe get on film, kind of help me out as exactly what these things are.
Yeah, though I'm pretty sure you do still owe me 3,333.33 recurring British pounds since we won that last bet. Hello everybody, my name is Adam Morgan Ibbotson, and you meet me on a very autumnal hillside here in the North York Moors. In the spirit of Captain Cook, I am adventurising and I have climbed into this sea of bracken. I'm going to be covered in ticks by the end of today, but I'm doing so for a very good reason, because that right there is the chamber of a passage tube. Can you believe it? Now, this is the kind of thing you find in Ireland and North Wales, so it's really out of place here. You can see the passage leading into it. There, can you see that? Now, that's out of place, obviously, as is this weird spoon-shaped thing at the end of it. People think that's Bronze Age, but again, ignore that. What's really out of place is this. That is a bank barrow that goes on for about 120 metres in that direction. It's huge. Now, it's known as Great Ayton Moor Bank Cairn, not Bank Barrow, because it's made of stones. And that's purely just a semantic thing. Characteristically, this is just a bank barrow made of stone. The naming conventions we have here in the UK can get a little bit muddled. You know, one person's ring cairn is another's cremation cemetery. One person's henge is a hengiform monument. One person's stone circle is another's cromlech. It really doesn't make a difference. So when I see this, I say passage tomb, bank barrow. Most exciting of all is the fact that this really is a palimpsest. We have a Bronze Age enclosure here. We have a Bronze Age ring cairn over there and a Bronze Age barrow over there. We've got a mid to late Neolithic passage tomb sitting right here. And right underneath it is that bank barrow. We know it predates the mid to late Neolithic. If you want to ask me what it's doing up here in the North York Moors, miles and miles and miles away from their heartland, don't ask me, I have no idea. It's a proper archaeological mystery.
My gosh. So back here at Long Breedy, well, OGS Crawford, he became obsessed in his era with the use of aerial photography, a very new technology for him which could help this whole discipline of archaeology and the understanding of the landscape. I believe that he was right to do so. We now have the next level up, the LiDAR studies, and I guess we get as excited about that as Crawford probably got as excited about aerial photography. So if you take a look at the LiDAR here, something else comes into view, something that we have yet to consider. Can you see it? Okay, it's not hugely easy to follow, but if we have Long Breedy bank barrow there to our side and we follow it in the line north-northwest into the next field and we look at some aerial photography, maybe some LiDAR or something comes into view, it's quite staggering. Roger Pears took these, and initially people called these two features we see here and here an enclosure, but soon enough people started to say the word Cursus or Cursus, essentially long rectilinear structures of the Neolithic. Such is the length, varied length. They often look like two parallel lines stretching through the landscape, in some cases for many miles. Okay, so I've actually come back down between the two, the valley between Long Breedy, which sits up there on the horizon. I can see it really clearly with my own eye. Perhaps you can, perhaps you can't. And if I spin the camera around this way, well, I can see the Black Down bank barrow up there as well. I've got a great view from down here in this valley, and maybe there was a brook or stream in the Neolithic between us, and perhaps the Cursus monument that went right through the middle over there, well, maybe that had something to do with it too. Okay, this makes me wonder about something I've seen before, a long barrow, but it wasn't a long barrow, or maybe it was a bank barrow. I might once again need some help.
Hello?
Darren, mate, chum, how are you?
Yes, I'm fine, thanks, Paul. I see that last video that I helped you with has got over 400,000 views. You must have earned a lot of money out of that. Anyhow, what can I do for nothing for you this time, Paul?
Is that Paul Whitewick? Don't forget he owes you £3,333.33.
Yeah, anyway, can we talk bank barrows this time? Could you sort of see if there's any local to you, see if you can get something on film so I can sort of piece this all together?
Yeah, Paul, I can take a look. It's just a matter of that £3,333. YouTubers. So when Paul Whitewick contacted me and asked if I'd like to be involved in his latest project about Neolithic bank barrows, I couldn't wait to agree better terms than last time and get involved. Bank barrows are so poorly understood. There is huge potential for misclassification, and that is what I'm here to look into today in the Hambleton Hills of the North Riding of Yorkshire. To have a look at this, it is known as Hesketh Dyke. long considered to be part of the Cleve Dyke system, which is a series of banks and ditches throughout these hills, dating to the late Bronze Age into the Iron Age, marking some sort of territorial boundaries. But nowadays, opinions have started to change, and some people are of the view that this section, which stands in isolation here, is actually a bank barrow with a Bronze Age barrow marking its terminus. And also what I think is interesting is look at the end of the bank barrow, if that's what it is, and look at the Silver Hill barrow. There's a little bit of a gap between the two. Now that barrow is dated through excavation to the Bronze Age. Now that Bronze Age barrow at the end there is similar to what we see at other contested bank barrow sites around the country. And it particularly puts me in mind of one called Long Low in Staffordshire, where we seem to have the Bronze Age people coming along and sort of finishing off the process of this being used as a funerary monument, if that's what it is. And who knows, who's to say that a Neolithic bank barrow couldn't have then been later incorporated into the Dyke system. Now, Paul tells me that it would make him very happy, and I know you want to make Paul happy, if you would head over to my channel, WC21 UK Productions Limited, and hit the like and subscribe button.
So whilst I try and find this long barrow up ahead that I found around a year or so ago, I think now it maybe adds up but also doesn't add up. But we are missing one significant consideration here. We have no formal excavation done on Long Breedy Bank Barrow, but what about other finds? Can we actually date it? So come the 1980s, we start to make some inroads. Brady suggests in 1983 that we have a break in the long barrow. We can see it there today. I think Darren suggested this too. Could this in fact be an extension of the long barrow? Finds then in the 1990s from adjacent to the bank barrows to its northeast gave us a small range of items associated with early Neolithic, so from 4000 BCE onwards. Here we are at the famous Dorset Cursus. You can't see it because it's a sort of a ditch in the ground. It goes from there, stretches 6 miles back in the direction we came in across the landscape. It's perpendicular to this mound here in front of us. Now that mound on the maps is Long Barrow, but look at it, it's huge. It stretches maybe 200 meters, I'm not sure, and maybe it is a long barrow, but it's also something else. We have a really striking similarity between this here, the way this is set up, and that of Long Breedy back the other side of Dorset. So we have long barrows, long banks perhaps as an extension, and a Cursus monument too. So what exactly does all of this mean? So this is Maiden Castle, quite famous, probably the biggest hill fort in Europe, and it's just an absurd Iron Age undertaking. Just look at it, earthworks there. But it's not just an Iron Age hill fort, it's not just those features here that archaeologists have been interested in over the years. You see, running through the middle from the northwestern entrance of the hill fort, if we use a little imagination and head across to the south-southeast direction, well, we're actually walking along the longest bank barrow we know of, over 500 meters long, and guess what? It actually does encompass a long barrow, and the best part, we have some broad dates too. Niall Sharples conducted that the long bank barrow here dates to 3600 BCE to 3110 BCE. The 30-metre long barrow, it encompasses early Neolithic, so perhaps back towards 4000 BCE. So this is now starting to take some shape here. Are we seeing these somehow as extensions of long barrows? In a way, yes. The general notion is we see the long barrow first and then we see its extension at whatever period thereafter, perhaps along with the construction of the Cursus monuments that we see them associated with. But the big question is, what exactly were they for? Why did they make these extensions the way they did? The Long Breedy bank barrow was therefore determined by the earlier placement of the long barrow, but there are other long barrows here, so why only extend this one? Well, perhaps owing to its direction, we can't really appreciate this from below down towards the coast looking long ways at it. But from here, perhaps certain times of the day or the year, when we're looking northwest along that ridge, we see something really important. I recall when I was back doing the Dorset Cursus video a little while ago, when you stand at its original western end and look towards the long barrow, That dissects it at gussage down. On December 21st, the sun sets over it, aligned with the Cursus. Are we seeing the same thing here? The movement of the sun as it approached midsummer sunset, well, it would have resulted in a dramatic merging with the Bank Barrow. For a short time, the sun would have appeared to rest on the mound before disappearing behind it from view. As with Adam and WC21 UK Productions Limited and their adventures today, well, we find it really difficult to classify these. Bank barrows, ridge barrows, long carns, bank carns, extensions of long barrows, whatever. And I guess that doesn't really matter because, well, have a look at this. See, that there to me is what it's all about. I'm now down in the valley bottom next to the east end of the Dorset Cursus and my bank barrow there, which is marked as long barrow. Now, I guess none of this really matters in terms of the naming. We just left guessing, and the idea is, I guess, when we have more technology one day, we can kind of piece together how a lot of these Neolithic monuments sort of interacted with one another in a more scientific way rather than sort of guesswork here and there. And I'm looking forward to that. But in the meantime, I guess I haven't really offered you anything new in terms of an insight, which I rarely aim to do. I guess for me, this is just another journey where I've added to my collection of things that I find interesting, and perhaps you do too. Big thanks to WC21 UK Productions Limited and Adam Morgan Ibsen. Links here below. Go and subscribe to their channels because they do a lot of what I do as well. So if you like this, you're going to love them.
Who is so passionate about the idea of this being one that he's variously told me that he would eat his own hands and he would eat his own feet if this turned out not to be one.
That was quite good. And the sun's out.
And I'll see you this time next week.